Գազագերբության փոմի Թորոնտոյի Ռուբինա մասնաճյուղին հայերու քոյությունը Եթովպիայի մեջ քիրքի ներկայացումը դեղի ունեցավ հայգետրոնի սրահի մեջ հեղինակին Ռուբինա Սևադջյանի կողմէ։
Ռուբինա Սևադջյան ծնած եւ մեծած է Եթովպիայի։ Փոխադրված է Անգլիա, ուր իր երկրորդական ուսումը շարունակած է 1972-ին։ Ան հոն ապաստանած է 1974-ի ապստամբության ժամանակ։ Rubina հեղինակն է In the Shadow of the Sultan վեպ, որը ուղղված էր չափահաս երիտասարդներուն Hamidian չարթերուն ժամանակ 1896-ին։
At his coronation in 1889, Menelik II had pointedly refused the gift of a crown from the Italian government, preferring instead the crown made for him by Dikran Ebeyan, a jeweler from Constantinople, who had also made the crown for Johannes IV in 1881, and the leader of the Armenian community at the time, very few. And here is Menelik wearing his crown in his coronation robes. Menelik employed Armenians as civil servants at his court to establish governmental departments. They brought modernity and technological know-how without being a colonial threat. By the early 1900s, there was an Armenian community of about 200. There were, of course, some intermarriages, but as men settled and prospered, their thoughts often turned to home, and they sent for mail-order brides to their hometowns in the Ottoman Empire. One such man was my grandfather, who, having become quite wealthy by his mid-20s, sent to Aintab for a suitable bride. So she duly arrived by way of Djibouti, together with several brothers and all imaginable household goods. And after a several-week journey by mule, they met and were married at Dire Dawa before proceeding to Addis. And here we have the Sevadjians in about 1918, 1919, where B A Sevadjian in the center, and his two sisters and their husbands on either side, and their various children. The first wave of Armenian settlers were businessmen. Thereafter, the numbers increased as people married, and cousins and other relatives were brought to join them, all looking for a life away from the oppressive Ottoman state. More came from where they had ended up after the 1915 genocide, pretty much as refugees, mainly from Syria and Lebanon, many of them having witnessed the most appalling atrocities and many having suffered the most severe privations, loss of parents, children, friends. They were relieved and grateful to settle in a Christian country where they became remarkably productive and upstanding subjects. At their peak in the mid-1930s, the Armenians of Ethiopia numbered some 1,200 people, never more. Those who had settled before the 1920s and those arriving after 1945 were mostly well-educated professionals. That is to say, other than businessmen, they were doctors, dentists, chemists, architects, engineers, lawyers, accountants, and teachers. Here we have the grave of Arshavir Terzian, the famous owner of Arsho Labs and the personal physician of Haile Selassie I. And of course, the community established a church, which was Surpa Svadzadzin, and we see it here. In about 1928, it was a local-style mud house with the first pastor of the community, Reverend Father Hovannes Avak Kahana Geferian, who had arrived in 1923 after spending years rescuing Armenian genocide orphans from the deserts of Syria. He served the community until his death at the age of 80 in 1957, and I think many of us were actually christened by him, if not married by him. There was a secret police under Menelik II, and the chief was Levon Yazidjan, who came from Arab Kirov also in the 1890s. And this rather splendid man had many functions at court. Here we have B A Sevadjian and P Sevadjian at the opening of the Lideta airport in 1952, and they are dressed in court clothes because the emperor would have been coming. In 1935, Mihran Muradian, a rich philanthropist, financed the construction of St. George Armenian Apostolic Church. Behind it on the hill was the community school built in 1932 by Matik Kevorkov and known as Kevorkov Varjaran, of course. And here we have a picture of B A Sevadjian walking up towards the church with the emperor soon after he had returned from exile. And the youth, the flower of the youth of Addis Ababa, all lined up, waiting to see the emperor. This is the interior of the church in 1935 or 1936. This is the church as it is today. It is still functional, although the community is much diminished. These are the children of the school year 1958. And here I have a picture of a fundraiser in probably 1972. There used to be many fundraising activities, obviously, because we did not have any other income. And it would always start with a New Year's Eve ball, and most of the funds were for the school. In the 1960s, Bedros started producing distinctive gold and silver Lalibela and Aksum crosses to be worn as jewelry. These were sold in his showroom at Haile Selassie I Avenue, and the many cross designs were inspired by the actual crosses used at the many monasteries in Ethiopia and are an intricate pattern. That's a detail of one of them. This is it.